All right, and then I'm going to pass it to my colleague and friend Anna for the rest of our introductions.
Hot mic, sorry. I would say it's me, but just wanted to thank everybody for being here. Thank all of you for being here. You had a day like me. It's been a long day. And just want to thank you very much for taking your evening to be with us. We're very much appreciative of that. We do introductions. Please just say your name, your organization, and your role, and then pass along. Thank you.
And this microphone, great, it's on. Hi, I just can't see everyone in the back, so I want to make sure that I can see you. Hi, my name is Mitra Jalali. I am council member for our neighborhood and serving now also as council president. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rena Moran. I am your Ramsey County Commissioner, representing District 4.
My name is Ben Clark. I'm the asset manager, Beacon, taking care of Kimball Court properties.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Leapins. I'm the CEO of Relative Intel. We provide security services for Beacon and Avivo, and I'm also a St. Paul resident.
Hello, my name is Matt Sochek. I'm a senior project manager with Beacon Interfaith Housing, overseeing construction and development.
Hi, everyone. I'm Charlotte Morris. I'm a program director with Avivo, working at Kimball Court.
Hello, I'm Asher. I'm the president of Property Solutions and Services. We're the management company for Kimball Court. We manage 1,900 units of affordable housing in the Twin Cities, and 800 of them are permanent supportive housing units like Kimball.
Good evening. I'm David Hoban, Deputy Director for the Department of Safety and Inspection, Cities. For being here.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stacy Murphy. I am with the St. Paul Police Department, and I'm the district chief of the Western District, which is the district we're in right now. Thanks for coming.
Good evening, everyone. I am David McCabe. I'm the commander for the patrol operations here in the Western District.
Hi, good evening. I'm Maggie Emery. I'm the executive director of Protect Minnesota, which is the state-based, statewide gun violence prevention organization in our state, and we work with the community to find solutions to gun violence and its root causes in every neighborhood in our state.
Good evening. I'm Brooke Blakey. I'm the director for the Office of Neighborhood Safety for the City of St. Paul.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Michaels, also with the City of St. Paul in the Office of Neighborhood Safety.
Thank you for introductions. Right now, we're going to go ahead and have 10 minutes for Beacon to give updates on what's been going on and what you need to share with us. Again, just 10 minutes.
Thank you for coming. Like I said, my name is Ben Clark. I've been with Beacon now for all of 3 months, most of it focused on Kimball Court for very good reasons. We're going to work really hard to keep these 3 pages to 10 minutes, so bear with me. I think I should first point out that Kimball Court is part of the community, and we want to be in this discussion. So Beacon as an organization is a developer, owner, and sponsor, primarily of supportive housing. As a collaborative of more than 100 congregations, we are united in action to do one thing: create homes and advance equitable housing. Just as a point of reference, in this particular ward, there are 450 people at 340 addresses that are members of our Beacon community. So what do we do at Kimball Court? Number one, we provide permanent housing to people exiting long-term and high-priority homelessness. At Kimball Court, many of our residents struggle with behavioral health issues. And this is where the supportive part of housing is so important. We contract Avivo for support services, PSS for property management and lease execution, and Relative Intel for resident security and safety. That's how we operate the building. I think we have the right partners at the table. If we look back a couple years ago, thanks to these partners, we've made significant changes and improvements. So we acquired Kimball Court in 2010 from the Wilder Foundation, the building, as you know, it is a 1920s old hotel layout. It's always been deeply affordable housing in our neighborhoods, and it needs renovation. So in 2019, we acquired the Star Market building next to Kimball Court, set forth plans and funding sources to make those improvements. This includes resident gathering offerings, office and meeting spaces. It includes 24 new studio apartments and a more secure front desk entry. The COVID pandemic set back these plans until now. So construction will start in December and wrap up in early 2026. Matt is our project manager for this construction project, and we can ask him questions about building and setup and layout about and things like that. Again, let's go back to why we're doing this. Because the renovation and the addition improve living conditions. It improves the support services we provide, and it improves resident security, those three things. Okay, let's talk about some of the challenges we face. What do we see? Well, I see what you see. The challenges are real and they're painful. In talks with the police, we agree that there have been an increase in unwanted activity up and down Snelling. I see it. I've walked the neighborhood many times, Snelling and Charles, past the CVS and Taco Bell, through the alleys, in the daytime and at night. I've ridden the Green Line. I've parked on Snelling and Charles and watched. In fact, that's where I was before I came over here today. I read and respond to your emails. I've talked with Liam and our other neighbors. I see the trash. I see the people in the doorways and alleys up and down Snelling. Tonight, they were over by AJ's. I see the dealing, right? You do too. It's on Charles, it's along Snelling, it's near the CVS. Avivo has also told us they see an increased amount of youth in this neighborhood struggling with homelessness in the last year. I get a little different perspective too. I get to see what's going on inside of Kimball Court, and it's not what's going on the outside. So let's talk about that tonight. Let's have our people explain what we see. A 6-year resident shared with staff that compared to several years ago, 2 years ago or so, it's now safer and less of the outside on the inside. And there's no more unchecked guests roaming the building. Most of our residents are working to leave that outside behind, to put it in their past. We have one armed agent on staff 24/7. Their purpose is resident safety. Now, that's about the same as employing 6 full-time individuals. And believe me, this was not an expense we needed to incur before the pandemic or the onset of really cheap fentanyl. Our security agent can encourage people that are not residents gathering outside our building to move along, and they do. But we don't own that public sidewalk. Our agents are not law enforcement. We enforce our lease terms and our house rules. Our partners can answer your questions about that, and I encourage you to ask questions about that. Many people living at Kimball Court are successful in this transition from homelessness, but some are not. Let's remember that permanent housing for people leaving homelessness, and often the behavioral challenges they face, are not easily left behind. But those that violate the lease terms and break the house rules, they're given other options and they move on. Again, our 3 partners at the table, PSS, Avivo, and Relative Intel, are here to answer those questions you might have about how that works. When we first met, or for some of you that were there along with me at the Mosaic Church in August, we made a plan. I shared that plan with the HMC, and for what we can control, we have worked to improve. So, first of all, I'm the point of contact at Beacon. I work with Grace directly and the other board members. We provide and agree to provide quarterly updates and have me respond to constructive interactions. That's my job. I've connected with the St. Paul Police Department, the City Council, and have encouraged further connections with others in the community that can have an impact. Thank you, Chris, for being here. So at Kimball Court, our plan has done the following. We used to pick up trash 5 days a week. We pick it up 7 days a week now. We've added lights to the alley to improve visibility, deter unwanted gatherings. We've boarded up the alley doorway to the Star Market building, cut down unwanted plants and bushes so that we have better visibility. We power sprayed the sidewalks in the alley. We removed recurring graffiti. The bummer that I just saw is it's right back up on the Star building. We cleaned up the front entry. We've installed St. Paul Police Department no trespass sign, and we signed an affidavit to allow the police to enforce trespassing laws on our property as they see it. Two things that are still in process are exterior security cameras and cutting down the tree in the front to give us better visibility. Going forward, we have 4 goals. Number 1, ensure a secure and safe construction site. Matt and our contractor are taking the lead on this. To stay engaged with HMC, participate in those quarterly meetings like we promised, and issue discussions. And I will continue to be responsive to inquiries. Work with the St. Paul Police and others on this stage. I'm so sorry. Was it, my apologies. Thank you so much. Work with the St. Paul Police and the others on this stage today to help improve the neighborhood and public safety. And as important as anything else, continue to provide stable, permanent housing during this construction phase. Like I said, we're part of this community. We also want a safe neighborhood for us, for you, for our residents. We will only see improvements in the community if the representation up here and here works together. Beacon does not and cannot hold this all alone. Crisis is on the street. It is too great. That is why we're here with this group. That's why we're here with you. How much time do I got left?
Got another minute.
All done. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody.
I was just gonna say, for the newcomers, please look around the room. There's QR codes if you want to comment, if there's a question that you'd like to ask. For anyone that has been here, if you do want to get up and ask a question, Caitlin and Cameron, they have numbers, so please go grab one from them. That way we can add you to the Q&A session. So Cole will go ahead and we'll start. My bad, sorry guys.
It's a community meeting, isn't it? Hello, everybody. My name is Cole Hansen. I'm the board president for Hamline-Midway Coalition. I'm going to take a step over here so I don't have that happen to me again. So I'm very close. I want to reiterate a few of our community rules that we talked about at the very beginning, because we want to make sure we can make the most out of our time again today. Number 1, we're going to be making sure there's 90 seconds for you and 90 seconds for them, and that's it. So if you ask a question that's going to address more than one of these folks up here, they still only get 90 seconds to answer. So please be specific to who are you asking your question to. Next thing is, again, questions ended a question mark. We need the context. Let us know where you live. Let us know who you are. But also, make sure you ask a question at the end. We want to make sure one person, one question. I'm going to handle your follow-ups. I'm going to tell you, I live at the corner of Snelling and University, and I got a lot of questions too. So I am very interested in making sure that we get these lovely folks to answer the questions that you have. I'm also going to redirect questions to necessary panelists if we have to. Because if you direct a question at one person, and I might be able to say, well, there's something from Avivo over here too, I'm going to do my best to make sure we maximize that time on their end too. And then the last thing is, please observe the meeting rules. We don't want to end things early. We want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. Now, we have a development committee that was originally organizing this meeting. They pulled together a number of questions that I will be asking in between folks coming up to ask theirs. They are specific about Beacon, and we're going to get to hear about them, and I'm going to start with that as I ask for the first person to come up. So, whoever has question number 1, would you like to please come to the front? Ask your, maybe I'll just chase you down. There might be a little more fun. See if I got the range here. So before I did say I'd ask this development committee question first. I'll give it to you because I ran to you, and then I'll get to them, okay? Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, this question is mainly for Ms. Jalali. I would like to know, I mean, this is nothing new to the city council, the concerns that everybody in our Hamline-Midway community has had about Kimball Court. And this goes back several months. But what I'm most concerned about is why, knowing the concerns of the residents and the community members, did you decide to extend the loan and to add another $3.5 million?
Thank you. So for, let's see, 3-4 years now since 2020 and the post-pandemic, my office has fielded questions, concerns, talked to Beacon, facilitated discussion, come to these community meetings, literally picked up needles, like all of that. From talking to the property and then also being in those conversations, the key point that emerged is, one, part of why there's things happening outside is there aren't enough homes for them. This renovation and expansion actually helps those people who need to transition from outside to inside. That is actually part of the solution here, if not a central one. 2, the renovation funding actually allows the building to operate more safely than it currently does. It changes the way you can enter and exit the building. It closes off the access points that were previously creating unsafe situations for people in the neighborhood, and also for the people who live there, who are also our neighbors. 3, I'm unapologetically in support of supportive housing. Unapologetically in support of supportive housing. And it doesn't mean that we don't have to work together to make sure that these buildings function the way they intended. That's what these conversations are for that I've been a part of for years. So if I had that vote to do all over again, I would do it. And I also know that this coordination is what's going to get us to where we want it to be and builds on the progress made since the days of picking up needles with my own staff out there.
Right,
so thanks for showing up tonight to do that work together.
Thank you, Council President. If number 2 could raise their hand, I'll make my way to you with the microphone. But our first question from the Development Committee of Hamline-Midway Coalition is, with the expansion, Beacon states they will have enhanced security with one entrance door leading to a security desk and better security cameras. How will this prevent tenants of Kimball Court from dealing directly from the windows to the sidewalks or propping open doors as has happened in the past? And will this prevent friends of tenants coming into the building to do the same thing?
So with the respect to the first part, whether these things will prevent dealing through windows, no, it won't.
Please stand up and hold the microphone a little bit closer, please. Thank you.
It does not prevent those things from happening through windows. We will have better camera coverage along Charles Avenue and on the Snelling frontage. Much better visibility through security cameras and a centrally located front desk. So we'll be better able to see those situations and act on them. But it's still, to address those situations is an operational matter. There is no silver bullet. There is no development solution that we can do to totally prevent it. We have to work with those situations operationally, and we're prepared to do so. We'll have better coverage, better visibility, and we've got a great security company in Relative Intel who is ready to handle it.
So just operationally, with the rehab, what will come is, so exterior doors will have sensors that will be relayed to a camera system monitoring, so the security officer can see, oh, this door's been propped instantaneously. Right now, that doesn't happen. Right? In terms of the security cameras that can pick up voice and see and be kind of moved, none of that. We're dealing with a very antiquated security system that isn't even, I would say, adequate, which is another reason for the rehab. So the building's technology will allow us to all do our job much better.
You have 5 seconds.
I would just add quickly that since September of 2022, the doors have not been propped open.
All right, thank you. All right, well, I'm going to be passing this to a community member here. We got more follow-ups on that already on here.
All right, my name is Jerry Crott, resident, live about a block from Kimball Court, pastor of a church also a block from Kimball Court. So I've only been active in the community for about 3.5 years, so I don't know the community before that time as some of you do, as a very different place to live. But it seems, at least since 2010, there's been increasing stories of from residents of problems. There's been an increase of police reports dramatically each year. Also stories from Kimball Court residents themselves that the neighborhood has deteriorated significantly. There's a pattern of escalating problems since there was a change in the house in that building from simply providing housing to a housing first concept that many of us are familiar with that enables and even facilitates drug use, resulting in increasing drug use in the neighborhood and drug dealing as well, which has been devastating for the residents of Kimball Court, many of which I know, and also devastating for the neighborhood. One of the questions I have is what tragedy is it going to take for Ramsey County or the city of St. Paul or for Beacon to acknowledge that this is not working in this particular location near a public transportation hub? Will it take aggravated assaults, children injured, more shootings, maybe all the businesses leaving the area? I don't question the good motives of people of Beacon or of Avivo. They're doing a great job, but I only question the results. So how will adding a higher demand for drug use in the neighborhood seem to be help the community get better?
I guess I would challenge what appears to be the premise of your question, that all of those things are Beacon's fault. They're not. We're having a lot of concurrent challenges in our community. We are having the economic pressures, post-pandemic and ongoing, of inflation. We are having the cheapness of fentanyl that is being dumped into our streets and that we are in a battle against. We're having decline in public agencies that run through our neighborhood, like Metro Transit, that need to be here tonight, and we're here in some other conversations, but fundamentally maintain our infrastructure. So I'm very game. I will stand up here all night if you want to have a conversation about the future of the neighborhood, the investments coming forth, the good that's grown alongside the bad, the challenges ahead. What I would ask is that the conflation of all those issues, which can't demonstrably be blamed on supportive housing, not be the conversation path that we go down. So I'm willing to take that even further, but that is my vision for the neighborhood. We actually have resources for people who need it the most. We live our values by actually saying, even when it's hard, we will make a way for all of us to coexist together safely and invest in that. And we're also going to invest in our neighborhood in the other ways that are needed. So let's make sure we're keeping the two separate. That's all.
Commissioner Moran, you have another 15 seconds.
15 seconds. I just want to say that Ramsey County is here to support the community, but also to make sure that we're working in coordination with Kimball's Court, Beacon Interfaith, because I think it's a collective solution.
Okay, well, if number 3 could raise their hand, I'll make my way to. Until then, I have another question. Why can't enhanced security cameras be installed now? And we understand there isn't a plan for one more security guard. Why can't there be 2 security guards to watch inside and outside the building at all times?
I'll take that question.
And number 3, please raise your hand.
And then I'll pass it down. First,
Please stand.
Yeah, please stand if you can.
There we go.
Appreciate it.
That's a lot better. I'm getting the low voltage bid. We have the cameras lined up. We're getting the low voltage bid. As soon as that comes in, we're able to move forward. So that takes care of the exterior camera question. Why not a second agent? Because we're spending unexpectedly in the last several years $400,000 a year on a security agent for 8,760 hours per year. No nonprofit that I know can handle that. If we can find other ways to flex agents in, we are going to be doing that if we need to do that. Again, our agents are here to, and then we have to think about what is our responsibility outside of the building. It is shared responsibility with the community and with the police, and what is on our property.
I would just add that
45 seconds.
given the financial constraints that Ben mentioned, we are leveraging technology to help multiply the efforts of the agent on site. If that proves to not be as successful as we hope it to be, then we are also evaluating additional staffing and how we can creatively get that in there. We know it's needed, but the budget does not support it at this time, but we're all working towards a solution.
Okay. By the way, this is community meeting. Person driving the Volkswagen Tiguan, GEH 692, you're blocking the driveway. So please go out and move your car. Community meeting. I need to see person with question number 3. Can you raise your hand, do a big motion so I can see? Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I'm Jack Kaczmarek, and I've got a building right next to Kimball Courts, and it's losing value as we speak. Anyway, I'm just wondering about your clientele. If this is a wet house, if I'm correct, that are there other services? Is there a work program, a rehab, treatment? How can they advance out of this so they're not just hanging around all day? Is there something for them to do?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I'm Charlotte with Avivo. Avivo provides the contracted case management services on site. So everybody on site is assigned a case manager to work with on an individual plan that will address where it is they see themselves going. Ben mentioned it at the beginning, moving from outside to inside and learning how to be in housing is a big task, right? There's a lot about being a stable tenant, right? So our team at Kimball Court is focused on building those one-on-one relationships, providing one-on-one case management to find out where it is that somebody wants to go and what they need to get there. Provide referrals to employment services when that's the right thing. Referrals to 1919 University for mental health supports when that's the right thing. Referrals to treatment when that's the right thing. We meet people where they are, radically, right here and now, provide them a safe place to come inside, take a deep breath, have a chance to think about tomorrow when I hadn't been thinking about tomorrow because I wasn't sure where I was going to sleep tonight. When people get a chance to just take a breath a bit, think about what tomorrow might bring, discover their hopes and dreams and what it was like to be stable once before, when they have that little bit of space once they have housing, then there's time and space to think about that, consider what it's like, and think about what's the first step to get there. And our team at Kimball Court, the case managers are doing that every day on an individual basis.
So the one thing I would say is when people don't follow the rules and don't show that they are going to be good members of society, we work to exit them out. Avivo still takes them on, but over just about a year and a half.
We're at time. There was a
24 people have left.
Sir, excuse me. We did have a follow-up though, because it sounds like it wasn't answered. Is this a wet house situation at Kimball Court, as people would commonly understand it? Thank you.
At Kimball Court, we recognize that people come often dealing with a lot of hard things, including drug addiction. The use of substances on site in and of itself is not a lease violation. There are behavior-based rules that everyone must follow when they come. This is not an everything goes situation. It's a come inside, come be safe. We'll help you be safer and provide you the supports and services to do so.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I am going to be looking for number 4. So number 4, thank you. I'll head over your way. But I have another question here. So in 2022, Beacon stated it has a zero tolerance policy on narcotics dealing on the property, yet it continues to allegedly operate constantly today. Based on the 14-year history with Beacon's ownership of Kimball Court, ignored pleas and failed promises, why should the community trust Kimball Court and Beacon now?
So I would encourage anyone that sees that, call 911, right? Of the people that are dealing, like we do exit people out, and unsuccessfully, right? So people that are dealing drugs that are not following the rules, we do have them leave. We terminate their housing through mutual terminations. We go to court if they won't leave on their own volition. So people that are not, dealing drugs, getting in fights, whatever that may be that is causing huge issues, we work to move them out. And Avivo then still takes them and tries to find housing elsewhere in the community.
I would add to that our partnership is about folks at Kimball Court. So when tenants at Kimball Court engage in dealing or selling behavior, that's addressed promptly through our lease violation process. When community members on the public sidewalk engage in that, we don't have a tool for addressing that internally at Kimball Court. That's bigger than us to address. Our partnership is a well-oiled machine, I would say, that we meet on a weekly basis to review the detailed 15-minute by 15-minute, review it all, find where the lease violations need to be and apply them and provide services and support for folks to get on board, or they gotta move on.
You got 5 seconds, so it's okay. You can just put it down. I did actually want to ask a follow-up
So can I just, for that 5 seconds, just with the
Sure.
the calling 911, you may not get response there, but it pulls a
All right,
log.
thank you. Your time is expired.
It pulls a log so
I
they can
appreciate
see.
it. Thank you. Thank you, Asher. All right, I actually want to pass it over to St. Paul PD here because I think we all have a question of when we call 911 with regards to incidents we see around Kimball Court. What happens when we do that? St. Paul PD, could you help us elaborate on that process?
Yep, we sure can. So whenever someone calls 911, we do show up. Everything gets put into a queue, so it depends on what the behavior is. So if it's something where there's a group of people hanging outside loitering, that's going to be a lower priority call, so that would take officers longer to get there. So it depends on what the activity is. But do call us, because that's what also gets properties. We know what's going on at different locations and different addresses. We keep that data. That's super important for us as well, so we know where to deploy our officers and what to do. We just did a focused enforcement detail. We know the individuals that are causing the most concern aren't just around Kimball Court. They come and go. In the month of September, we did a focused enforcement detail along the University corridor. From Western to Snelling was the area that we focused on. We made 46 arrests, recovered 2 handguns. Our cops are working really, really hard. They're out there trying to help mitigate the problem and resolve what we're seeing out there, but this isn't something that we can just arrest our way out of. It really does take all of the folks that you're seeing out here and people that aren't even in the room that are partners with us to help solve and mitigate the problem. But we are out there. Do call us, and we will.
Thank you very much, Chief Murphy. Thank you, Chief Murphy. I'm going to pass this on to question number 4.
Hi, I'm a resident. Me and my wife.
Let's try and hold the hand up.
Okay, like that. My wife and I live as almost as close as you can get. Liam and Lily live a little bit closer. We share an alley with Kimball Court. We agree with the mission. I don't have any problem with that. I'm glad. A number of people I've gotten off the street is 0. So if you got 1, you're better than I am. And I would challenge anyone to say that they're doing better. However, my question, I think this is largely toward the city. When you bring this, we understand it's a bigger problem. There's all kinds of stuff. I have more issue with Taco Bell and the dealing goes on at Taco Bell than I do at Kimball Court. I don't see a lot of support from the city. I can talk to the police and they support me as much as they can. Kimball Court security has supported me. I don't feel anything from the city. And I'd like to know what the plan is and what the tactics are beyond conversations and planting trees.
Thank you. Well, first, the police are the city, so I would thank our partners in St. Paul Police Western Precinct. We work very hard together all the time to try to address that, because those are situations where the behavior warrants law enforcement response. Second, we have our Office of Neighborhood Safety partners here who are working on programs to actually get our arms around who is doing the dealing, what is their actual situation, how do we create diversion. And I'm wondering if Director Blakey wants to speak a little about her part, because I think what we're working to build out is that focused area action plan so that we can get into a more proactive presence in the area And I appreciate you making this distinction between Kimball Court and Taco Bell and other areas. One thing that I work on is, but is this actually happening because of Kimball Court residents, or is this people in the area also doing stuff? We need to find what those connections
Director
are.
Blakey,
Director Blakey, and pass it to
you have 45 seconds.
And it's a much bigger conversation than 45 seconds, but we're here to talk more. Go ahead, Director.
I'll try to talk as loud and as fast as I can.
Nope, for the sake of accessibility, you gotta use the mic.
And just give her time back, too.
Okay, I can keep my 45 seconds if I talk really, really fast. Okay, so what we're really trying to do with the Office of Neighborhood Safety is engaging with our community-based organizations to make sure that we are working to address the issues. So we have community-based organizations that are working with those that have substance use issues. We have community-based organizations that are working with our juveniles that are involved in gun and gang violence, group violence, and then we're also working with individuals that are suffering unsheltered homelessness. And we work closely with our police department to make sure that we're providing information to individuals based on the behaviors that they are working. So we have Ujamaa Place that's doing a lot of work with our young folks, where we have a RFI, RFP that's coming out soon for other community-based organizations to engage and provide alternative responses. We are engaged with our Department of Safety and Inspections that has...
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Blake. All right, so we need to see number 5. I feel like I'm at a bingo. It was fun. I do have one question from our development committee. Beacon has promised it will be better once they expand. If it doesn't, Mitra, what are you prepared to do? I'm going to try again, but I'm going to do it far away from that speaker. So, Beacon has promised things will get better once they expand. If things don't get better, Council President, what are you prepared to do?
We're not going to accept things not getting better. We're going to keep showing up like we have this whole time. We're going to keep working on it together, because guess what? Things have gotten better. Things have improved from 4 years ago. We have engaged at a new level. There's commitments on record to the community that are coming and following through. And I'm not going to quit until it is what it needs to be. And I want to just be honest, like, there are people in this room too that might not just agree with the premise of it at all. That's fine. But you don't have the right to say that your neighbors can't get help in a stable, supportive place with social services as well. So we're going to work to make that a reality even more than it is. So that's what I'm committed to. Thanks.
And thank you very much. We have number 5.
Hi, Nate Roizen. I live on Charles Avenue, about a half mile to the east of the Kimball Court building. I'm also on the development committee, so you're getting 2 questions back to back. I was there in 2020 when there was a presentation made to our committee with somewhat preliminary ideas of what an expansion could look like. I don't know when exactly Planning Commission approval happened subsequent to that meeting, but that was 4 years ago already. And the city website notes that site plan approvals expire after 2 years. So my question for the project management team is, number 1, when did Planning Commission approval, site plan approval, and building permits get issued for the site? And number 2, have you exceeded the 2-year maximum without expiration?
I know that we received a preliminary site plan approval. I don't know the exact date or if it's outside of 2 years, but it was not a final site plan approval. We are still working toward our final site plan approval. We are hoping for a sign off on that in a matter of weeks here. So to answer your question, I don't know that we ever got the approval that started that 2-year clock. It's the best I can answer the question.
Excuse me. So follow-up question then is, when is the Planning Commission meeting that you're going to be presenting all this at? Should another be required?
There is not a Planning Commission meeting for that. It's a site plan approval process that is multi-departmental.
Can you get site plan approval without the Planning Commission?
So far as I know, it's a multi-departmental process. Once it's approved by the Department of Inspections, there is a comment period. So folks will have a chance to comment on what we propose. That comment period has not started yet, so there will be an opportunity to chime in on the site plan still.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to need to see number 6. Where is number 6? There you are. Fantastic. So I'm going to move to the next question here, Development Committee. So with the expansion, more staff will be provided in the building. Why can't Kimball Court have more supportive staff now?
I would say that's a similar response to why we can't have a second security guard, in that we don't have the funding secured to have more staff. With the expansion, we've been awarded funds in partnership with Beacon from the Ramsey County COC funds, HUD funds coming through Ramsey County, that are providing for that additional staff person that will come with the 24 additional units that are included in the expansion.
Here you are.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Julie, and I live in the neighborhood. And my question is kind of a follow-up about the planning site question. And it is that when Beacon bought Kimball Court, it had a conditional use permit for a boarding house, number Z59771. And when Beacon applied for a conditional use permit for the expansion, they said that Kimball Court currently has a conditional use permit for supportive housing that was issued in 1986, number 9771. Well, that was incorrect. That is a boarding house permit. And Kimball Court, that property, the conditional use permits go with the property. It's been operating without a conditional use permit, and we can all revisit your application, because in 2020, it would be noted that you should have had a supportive housing permit. And this is too long for this discussion, but there are many irregularities in this whole process. One being that the conditional use permit you did have in 2020 expired, and you also just changed, the city decided that your zoning was different as of this spring, and so you didn't need the conditional use permit. And my question is, what do I do with these drugs that I found on Snelling and Blair? And this would have been in the summer. I think they're drugs. They're little blue pills. And who do I give them to right now?
Hey, Julie, I'd give it to the cops.
I know. I hope I don't get arrested.
To the police. Yeah, give them to the police.
Down on Blair, huh? Down on Blair?
I would just like to, in response to that, just to say that
Commissioner Moran, if you could stand up. Thank you.
Just in response to that, Ramsey County has some Narcans in the back, just in case you need any, And also, we have containers back there, so you can put dirty needles inside of those containers.
No one else is going to answer that question at all? What to do with this stuff? Okay. All right, I'm just going to leave that be, because that was a lot. So, thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. I'm going to need number, 6? Where's 6? Where's 7? Yeah, we're on 7. Sorry, guys. I'm doing a lot of running around. Where is number 7? There you are. Okay. So I have a community question here development first. Let's see. With the expansion, additional support, case manager, social worker rooms are going to be added. Why can't tenant rooms be converted to those areas now to support at Kimball Court?
Could you repeat that? It kept breaking up.
Sure. So the new expansion is going to include support, case manager rooms, social worker rooms. Is there any reason current tenant rooms could be converted to support those functions until the expansion is done or before the expansion?
Current tenant rooms are where the offices are as well right now.
Okay, so that's already a function being done.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Hi, I'm Andrea. I have a deeply affordable, low-income, little fourplex half a block away from Kimball. And I've heard today that we've asked for more security, and I've heard there isn't enough money. I've heard we've asked more staff support, and I've heard that there isn't enough money. And you want to add another 20 beds, and the community is screaming that this particular program isn't working for our community. On October 20th, I sat for an hour at 2:13 p.m., and I watched a man walk out of Kimball Court 3 times in that hour, deliver something, couldn't see what it was delivering because it was to 3 people, 3 groups of people, shortly after they got high. Clearly it's not working. So here's my question. You don't have the money now. How in the world is it going to get better if you add another 20 beds if you can't do what you need to do now?
So, first, I'm sorry that you had to see that. And this is why these relationships matter. Can you hear me? Okay. Because once you know who actually operates the building and we have this relationship and we can report these things in and we can actually be more in dialogue, that is how we get to things quicker. So I appreciate you saying that. Second, the affordable housing sector can get money from capital costs and then operating costs. The difference, capital costs, brick and mortar, construction of homes, that stuff is a lot more in high volume, like there's more funding for that, than there is operating costs. One thing on the way that public funds are coming to help with is that Ramsey County is taking advantage of local affordable housing aid to actually use those dollars for operating costs for these types of facilities. That is a source that providers like Beacon can tap into to help get more staff. You can't do more for $0. Like, you just have to have well-paid staff. I learned through this process that we've had multiple tries with security firms to get the one that's going to do the best job, right? And it's not inexpensive. So there is a role here that the public can play, the public, I mean the funding, right? The government can make resource available so that we actually help those gaps, and also the philanthropic community coming in to help support that. So actually, I do think we're in a different outlook now to find more resource on the horizon. And what I can do is advocate and say, hey, my constituents are saying we need more support at this site for operating costs to run it better.
All right, thank you, Council
And that's how we get there. So one thing that's different between even the meeting that I was at with you to now. Thanks.
Thank you, Council President. All right, now I have one last community question that we had, which is for everyday neighbors who live nearby, live in the neighborhood, and want to contribute to making things better in spite of all of this. Who can speak to what everyday neighbors can do to help improve things in the area around Kimball Court until this is resolved?
I'll second that question. For real. I second that.
Whoop. Pass it down. Thank you so much for the power of accessibility.
Okay, I will put out the shameless plug. The Office of Neighborhood Safety is looking for members of the Neighborhood Safety Community Council. The Neighborhood Safety Community Council helps generate our dollars and gives us community-based organizations. So we guys know those organizations that are doing stuff around work in your community. So having members on our Neighborhood Safety Community Council to help get those funding and those projects and those components. You also help us vet those neighborhood programs to make sure that we're providing the appropriate programs in your neighborhood that you see or want to see. And so it's an opportunity for you guys to have your voice there. The Ramsey County also has an advisory board that can provide opportunities for them to engage in volunteerism, components of the work in the neighborhood. And then I have a lot of community-based organizations that are always looking for volunteers to engage with the community there. If it's our aging population, if it is our folks that need our crafts, if it's our folks that need our substance use, our shelter residents, whatever that is. So I will be here and if you come and sign up, I will take that
All right, there's another 20 seconds for everybody.
So I would say if you are a neighbor and you are experiencing crime coming out of Kimball Court, I would want you to call 911. And then you can, if you go to propertyss.com, and contact us. You can report, hey, someone came out of Kimball Court at 12:14 p.m. and dealt whatever that is, so then we can take it from there. Because if we don't know about it, there's nothing.
All right, your time has expired. Thank you, sir. Okay, I need to see number 8. Thank you. By the way, quick reminder, bathrooms are out the back door. And if you want to submit a question, you don't have a number, please take advantage of our kind of asynchronous online option. We got QR codes up here and on the back of a lot of chairs. You can submit those questions. All these folks are going to get them afterwards, and we're going to do our best to distribute them to all the folks who RSVP'd and send them out on our social media channels. So just a heads up. Thank you very much, ma'am.
My name is Allison Kliss, and I am one of the owners, and I have managed Hamlin Park Plaza, an office building that's on the corner of Thomas and Asbury since 1991. I was very active in the Hamline-Midway Coalition years ago as we had watched the neighborhood go up and down at that time, had to get rid of a drug dealer on the corner, and I've seen the neighborhood go up and down over the years, but at this time it's in the worst shape than it has ever been. And it's, I don't want to say it's just because of the Kimball Court, but it's, I think, a lack of the city and county supporting the neighbors and supporting law enforcement. It's like there's nothing that we can do. I have emailed, I have called. We have a parking ramp that is open. We're looking at how we're going to be able to close it up and secure it so that we can't have walk-in traffic. I pick up needles throughout the ramp and throughout our property every day, at least 10, and we have defecating, urinating. What is the city? And I hear all these, you can come to this program, you can come to this program, we're having this group, we're having this group, but that doesn't help us who have tenants that don't want to rent here in this area anymore, keep our building running and keep our businesses growing. There's businesses closing. What is the city going to do, and when? Soon. It's not, there's not an answer. Just come have a committee. I want a timeline. I want a specific date.
Thank you.
So specifically to your question about the parking ramp, the building, those types of things, the safety, security around it. So after the meeting, feel free to come up and get my contact information, and we'll figure out a plan for that specifically. We do this on a regular basis. We have a lot of resources within our department that can come and look at specific facilities, specific buildings, on things that we can do and things that we can, offer as suggestions, things like that. We have crime prevention specialists. There's a lot of things that we can do. It's just we have to be able to work together. We can't be everywhere all of the time, but truly, when you call us, we will come and we will do the very best that we can. We have very, very good cops. We're constantly doing more with less, and they show up whenever we get calls. Sometimes it takes us a little while to get there, but we truly are doing the best that we can. We're a part of the community. We're here to support everyone, and I'm really sorry that you're having all of these issues. We're hearing everybody loud and clear. Like I said earlier, we're doing a lot of focused enforcement details. We're working with our partners, with MTC. I know they were brought up earlier. We're working with Office of Neighborhood Safety. It really does take a village to try to solve the issues that we're having, but we're here, we're showing up, and we'll do the very best that we can. But please come up afterwards, and we'll do the very best that we can with the specific problem and property you're talking about.
Thank you very much. And can I say number 9? Number 9. We're over there. I'm going to quickly get over there. I'm going to ask, could the Office of Neighborhood Safety, could you introduce your Friendly Faces program? Because that is brand new, and people might want to know about it. You're going to have to pass a mic. I'm going to go all the way over here. Sharing is caring.
substantive and trail for mental health very better. We're recognizing that we need to serve people differently. The pandemic created uncharted problems, disruptions of people being able to receive care. Think about the way in which you receive care, medical care, mental health care, chemical health care. During the pandemic, we advise you to stay home, stay safe. Do online telehealth and telemedicine. There's a whole subset of individuals in our community that were pushed further and further into the margins of society by receiving absolutely no care at all during that time. So we're working in strong partnership with our police department, our fire department, our Department of Safety and Inspection to create a new public safety framework and an optimal response team. Because we recognize we can't arrest our way out of this. Many of the individuals are vulnerable, and we're needing to figure out how to provide services to this vulnerable population better that focuses on stabilization, critical time intervention, and giving people to identify what community means to them, and then reconnect it into the communities that they choose. So a program that we're looking to launch, starting at the beginning of the year throughout 2025, there's multiple other cases, and we're really targeting a laser-focused effort.
And we're at time. Ma'am, we're at time. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, and we're going to pass it on. Thank you very much, sir.
I think we're looking at it perhaps in the wrong way. I think someone who wants their home and their neighborhood safe is not necessarily against helping homeless people. I'm one of those. I think I'm very much in favor of that huge problem being solved called homelessness and the light rail, especially the Green Line. Those are huge, massive problems that take leadership on a state, regional, and local level, which we don't have. So I don't know how to solve that, and I'm going to come to that in a second. We have tons of money in the state. We have double-digit increases in my property taxes last 2 years. We have state sales tax. We have tons of money. So it just pains me to hear these people say they don't have any money. And finally, Ernie Larson is, of course, one of the most famous drug counselors in Twin Cities, and he had an expression: if nothing changes, nothing changes. So what can change tomorrow? I don't see anything changing here. I don't know if we need the health department out there. I went by the other day, and my car and myself got sprayed with human waste. We got sprayed with human waste as they're cleaning it. I think it's a health issue, if nothing else. So we have this immediate problem, then we have the long-term problem called homelessness. I think you have to solve both.
Thank you, sir. So it sounds like the question is, just restate it. What can we do? What can we do right now? What can we do for tomorrow? Right now. Well, right now.
I'm waiting for the mic. Oh, the mic is here. Okay. So we're working on these issues every single day in the neighborhood. We're part of a coordinated effort with Ramsey County to compassionately and swiftly respond to our unhoused neighbors. We have gotten, to your point, landmark resources from the state to step up what successfully worked in St. Paul. I've heard a lot of talk about the things that aren't going well that we don't like. I understand that. It's real. I'm glad we're talking about it. What I'm not hearing is people lifting up things that are happening at the same time with investment. The deed grants program to help all these local businesses recover and hang on through the pandemic. The opening of Little Africa Plaza, the launch of new businesses throughout the corridor, the fact that as we build on the United Village site, we're generating funds for affordable housing, for future housing on that site and down the corridor. There's a lot of positives alongside the negatives. And when I hear the negatives, when I'm listening to what I'm hearing tonight, it's about the visibility of the opioid crisis in our community. And so I think we need to make sure that we're talking about that specifically. The city of St. Paul gets $14 million to work on that. We focused our efforts a lot on Narcan immediately because people can die from this stuff. They're dying all the time. What we need to do is work on how do we get upstream and expand treatment. And guess what? People can't get off of drugs if they don't have a place to get stable called a home. So all these things work together. And I hear you saying, of course there's resource. There is. I believe in that. I have fought to organize more resource to our neighborhood through the toughest times than, frankly, a lot of people who used to represent our neighborhood. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, but all this work is happening all the time year-round. And there are things that are coming every single day that show that we're turning a corner, but that doesn't mean it doesn't feel good right now. So, anyone else want to comment?
You're out of time. Thank you very much. All right, I'm looking for number 10. And again, I'm going to ask you all, please remember, I'm going to everybody, so please try and make sure your question's a fresh one. Thank you.
Okay. I'm good. I'll make it. Okay. Okay. Quick question. One of the things about the neighborhood, it's going through a lot of changes. It's gone through a lot of dramatic things due to COVID. Many people in our community have not, and I wish Metro Transit was here to talk about this too, is I'm a non-driver. I walk everywhere. I will not go down near Kimball Court or University in Snelling for the bus stop or the train stop. I've been hit. I've been, I've had my phone stolen. I've had all kinds of things happen. I am really, it's tragic what's going on with people, and I really do feel there is a great effort going on. My question is, on a day-to-day basis, what do we do so we can walk down Snelling Avenue and get to where we need to be without being harassed or burgled or whatever is going on? And I know that's a huge question, and I just feel like I just avoid the area at all costs right now because I've been harmed, and many people have. Many people don't want their teenage kids taking the train or going in that area. What do we do right now?
So just to restate it, there's been a lot of questions about security concerns along Snelling Avenue corridor, especially near Kimball Court. How can people stay safe, and what can be done to secure people's safety right now?
So I just want to say I'm sorry, right, for what we're seeing happen. We are going through an epidemic right now with substance use disorder, mental health, we have homelessness. We see it and we feel it. I know at Ramsey County, we're focusing on many initiatives in partnership with everyone. So one of the things we can do is what we're doing right now, coming together and creating a plan collectively with all the partners here and with community. We're working on housing stability and supportive housing. We recognize there's an opioid crisis response. The pills that the young lady shared with the police officer, that's called Blue. That pill costs $2. It is highly addictive. And so we're working on the huge issue that we're having around substance use disorder. Yes, it's a $2 pill. And so one of the things that Ramsey County is working on right now in partnership with St. Paul is moving beyond the Narcan. The Narcan is important. If someone falls dead tomorrow, you can revive them. But it doesn't create an opportunity for them to get off of the drug. So we're looking at a Suboxone maintenance program right now that creates a 24-hour period where someone can be revived, but also have an opportunity with a serious mind to say, I want help. I need help, and to create a space where they can be a part of the Suboxone maintenance program. We hear you. It is impacting not only St. Paul, not only the state of
Commissioner Moran, that is time.
but across the country.
Thank you, Commissioner Moran. All right, I need to see question number 11.
I'm going to try to talk. Okay. Claire Press, 1600 LaFond Avenue. Okay. I don't believe an issue was discussed after it was brought up about inappropriate zoning. What is going to be done about that? How can that be pursued? Does that need to go back to the city attorney? Inappropriate zoning, city attorney. I walked from Taco Bell to Minnehaha, both sides of the street, talking to every business there. None of the businesses are happy. Businesses are talking about leaving. That affects our property value and our property taxes. As a senior citizen, I can't afford anymore? Why are interest-free loans being given to nonprofit people or to give more people money to people that don't have a good record of following up when they said they were going to? It's like you're throwing good money to bad things.
All right, so to restate the question, Mr. Press, it sounds like this is still about zoning. So when is the issue going to be brought up with the city attorney's office or whoever zoning concern? Well, no, you had 190 seconds. I'm sorry, ma'am. Can we restate your question? All right, restate your question, please. Thank you.
Okay. And being part of neighbors who went to a city council meeting to say that we were against further funding for, we weren't allowed to speak.
Thank you, ma'am.
So one, I can share the zoning, the permit, all those things. Our Department of Safety and Inspections is here. It's zoned for supportive housing. It allows for it to operate. So if people want that information, again, we've provided that a lot. I'm going to address the other points and then I'll pass it to him. The item that you came to talk to, Claire, and my staff, Dua Yang, explained this to you very extensively. It doesn't have a public hearing attached to it. We can't actually do public hearings on items that don't have notice public hearings. We have been in multiple settings with you and others to make sure that we hear people out. I've talked to you personally multiple times. So just for the record, it wasn't that you were denied speaking, it's that there is no public hearing procedure under that. We just heard about public comment opportunity coming up. We'll make sure even more options like that are made known to the community. And I'll pass it to Mr. Hoban if he wants to talk about the zoning. Thank you.
Pass him the new mic.
Pass him the other mic. Thank you. Sorry, the other microphone does work, but it's very quiet. You can only really hear it.
Is this better?
Yes. Much better.
All right.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, is the question about the zoning and the process for the addition that is being reviewed, the DSI permit and review, or is it about changing the zoning along Lang Avenue to be something more aligned with what you're worried about? Okay.
Kimball Court. That's the question.
The existing zoning at Kimball Court is in place and it is not expired. So the permit review process is underway, and if there are any conditions on the site plan that would require another review of the conditional use permit, that would be part of the process that we would do with planning and economic development and our site plan review and permit review system in Department of Safety and Inspections. They will be caught. It is my understanding that the addition that they're proposing doesn't necessarily require a conditional use permit because it is not a rooming house type situation. These are apartment units. As far as I know, the zoning along that corridor is acceptable for apartments, and so I can double check that when I get back to the office, and I can respond to the Midway group. But as far as I know, that everything is moving along under the building code and current city zoning appropriately.
All right, thank you. Now, so I'm going to be... Perfect. So I'm going to need to see number 12. While I make my way over there, I'm just going to quickly ask, I live 2 houses behind Checkerboard, right across the street from CVS, and there's now an abandoned funeral home right across the street from Kimball Court. What is the city doing to deal with these abandoned or blighted properties that are kind of magnets for this sort of negative behavior? The CVS is owned, the funeral home is for lease.
I'll share my time with Dave Hoban again to talk about action at the CVS. More broadly, the tools we have to deal with it are, one, the frontline cleanliness and code enforcement and levying fees against them. Two, upping the vacant building fee. That's something I'm in conversation with DSI about. We shouldn't make it cheap to do that type of behavior. We need to make that much stiffer. Three, we are literally working to move administrative citations, a charter change that allows us to have an additional tool to incentivize that behavior to disincentivize, the bad behavior. I'm working and leading that process as council president, and all of us have buildings in our wards across the council where this is an issue. CVS is a very visible one. I'm going to pass my time back to Dave to talk about the frontline enforcement work his department is doing.
Thank you. So as Council President had mentioned, we do have a number of things coming down in the future. Administrative citations is going to be a big advantage to addressing the vacant building situations, especially conditions like CVS. In the past, DSI has put forth a recommendation. Thankfully, Council approved. We already doubled the amount of cost for having a vacant building for commercial buildings. My department is in direct communication with CVS asset manager. They have it's very difficult when large companies come and then pull out and have a vacant building. I'm just going to be honest. They move very slow, and we are trying to use all the tools that we have to get them to move faster. The installation of the fence around the parking lot was part of that. I know it's unsightly, but given the activity in that area of their location, they worked with us to do that. I'm sorry, the time's up.
Thank you. My name's Amber. I live on Charles Avenue. I have been living in this community for 10 years, and I love it here. I have also worked in affordable housing for 10 years, so let's be clear. I think most of us are in this room because we believe in community, and we are committed to this, and that's why we're here tonight. In the 10 years I've been here, President Jalali Nelson, I have to tell you, I'm seeing something different than what you're seeing. You say that it's the best it's ever been, but on my block, it is legitimately the worst it has ever been. And that's why we're coming to you for help. We are asking for help. Hear us. You are our councilwoman, okay? Like, this is what we're doing. The problem is, there is a constant stream of people coming out of Kimball Court. Kimball Court is a known place at this point. It's just a known entity. It's happening all around that area, and people are spreading out in all directions from that location where they know they can get high. And it's happening in my alley. My kids are stepping over needles. Okay, the question is, what are we doing about open use and sale of fentanyl all up and down Snelling and Charles Avenue?
So I would recommend that we split one, then to Beacon, then to SPPD. I want to be clear that I never said it's the best it's ever been. I'm hearing you. No, I'm not saying the neighborhood is the best it's ever been. I'm saying more resource for the neighborhood than in recent memory, combined with more improved operation at Kimball Court. So I want to be clear what I said, and I heard you clearly what you said. I believe you.
Put the mic down.
So now we're going to pass it to the partners who are working with me on those things, and I'll pass it to Commander McCabe. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. I want to talk a little bit about what our officers are doing out there on the streets, and I say our officers because I live in this great city too. So when we have situations like this, we have a whole city to look at, but what we want to do is look at our places that we have current issues, and that's why we're here in this room right now. So thank you for bringing this up. Charles, Snelling, the whole area around there is been plagued with mental health that's got checked, as well as narcotics use that's gone unchecked. We have our community meetings every month. Our last community meeting, we did have the commander of the narcotics unit at that meeting, and she did a wonderful job of really kind of laying out an international reason as to why we're dealing with what we're dealing with locally here. So I'll hurry up. So what we're dealing with is $1 a pill, $1 for that little pill. And that's an issue that we are dealing with. We have our cameras out there. We are making arrests. The situation is make arrest, they can come, get right back out on the street, and then we start the process over again. It's been said before tonight, we can't arrest our way out of this problem, and that's why we're all here at this table together.
Thank you, Commander McCabe. I will ask follow-up here. If a saturation policing tactic worked previously along the university corridor, why is something like that not being implemented in this area of concern at this time? Because that could be done today.
So it's not that easy just to do it today, but Dave McCabe was getting there till his time ran out. But he's putting together a plan right now with our narcotics unit with a variety of different partners to do exactly that. So the focused enforcement detail I talked about a minute ago was along University Corridor. We're going to do the same exact thing in this area. So there's a plan we have to put together. We have to do it in a safe and strategic way. It's focused enforcement. That's something we're working on doing right now. It's not as easy as doing it today, but it will be very, very quickly. So we are working to do that. It takes additional resources. It takes our criminal intelligence unit. It takes a variety of different people to come together to work on this problem. And there are pockets like this throughout the city that we're working on. So that's why it takes a minute to get all the right people in the right places, but we are working on it. Dave's spearheading that for us. So that is coming. And I'm trying to make it clear.
Did we lose it? Oh, there we go. All right, so when we're talking about this, we can go out and arrest a person right now. They're going to go to jail, they're going to get their charges, they're going to get out of jail. That's not something that somebody gets held there for months and years on end. What we need to do, is why we do strategic enforcement, is we have the cameras, we record the actions, we bring in the intelligence, and we build a larger case that can actually remove the bad actors, get them out of there, so partners in Office of Neighborhood Safety and health partner come in and then address the other issues that are prevalent in that neighborhood.
Thank you, Commander McCabe. Need 13. Number 13. Oh, there you are. Okay. Wait, who's got number 13? You have the slip in your hand? Oh, you got it? Yeah, all right. Don't be trying to trick me here. I think we gave you numbered papers. Yep, and we're going to flag the time here. We got about 10 minutes left, so I only got a few more questions. Thank you, everybody.
So I just want to thank you, our police officers, our city councilwoman, and county commissioner for being here and asking all these, answering all these. Okay. Yep. So my question is actually, a couple of weeks ago, I read this news on Star Tribune that the San Antonio Park neighborhood did not want this homeless shelter in their neighborhood, and they were moving to our neighborhood, which is moving to our neighborhood. So my question is, we are welcoming to all, we want to help all, and I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm all for that. But the thing is that it seems like because we are so welcoming, we are not getting the resources that we need to welcome all these people and give the resources for these people. So I'm asking you, please give us the resources so that neighborhoods like affluent neighborhoods that are turning these people down are getting all the funds for their streets and for their other needs, but we are not getting the resources for our needs. So I am asking you to give us the resources and what you are doing to give us these resources, because it's not the responsibility of police officers to solve this problem. They are just dealing with the outcome of what's going on in the neighborhood. So that's all my question. Thank you.
I think I maybe heard a question in there. And so you're talking about the shelter that's going to be over in St. Anthony Park, which is now coming to here. So let me just share with you the shelter. There will be a shelter that's coming here. It will include currently 25 women who will be housed because they're very vulnerable out on the streets. There will be transportation that will bring the women to the shelter, and the transportation to take the women back to get some services during the day. Now, I must be transparent to say to you that transportation will be there for them to also go back out, but we will not force them to get on the bus, but it is there available. We know the value and the need that we also have day services available for individuals who are struggling. And there is a cost associated with that. It does cost money to do that. And so Ramsey County right now is currently working in partnership with all those you see here in community. And I want to create a space where any community member can also be at the table to help us do this work as we go to the legislature in 2025 to ask for more money, specifically to what we're seeing, the crisis around the epidemic is around substance use disorder and mental health. We're talking to judges, we're talking to Downtown Alliance, and they're all saying the same thing along with the police. We cannot police ourselves out of this because they're not holding them, and they need to be in treatment. And so it's got to be a holistic solution, also have to be a holistic partnership here for us to do the right thing.
Okay, Commissioner, your time is ended. I'm going to have to restate that question because I didn't hear an answer. Our neighborhood has been exceptionally welcoming to folks from all over the world and with all sorts of problems. But we are under-resourced compared to neighborhoods to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west of us. What is going to be done to resource our neighborhood to match our welcoming of everybody coming into it?
I heard the question. To be clear, I heard the question. I'm literally helming the city budget process with my colleagues, trying to meet our challenge every year, which is people want their property taxes to come down and they want their services to come up, right? So I'm working on that with my colleagues to get at investments in the Midway. I will tell you right now, all of our office funding that we get something like $200,000 annually, maybe longer than that. We are putting all of it into Midway. Every single discretionary dollar that I have goes to local businesses. That is one thing I can tell you, even though I represent all these other neighborhoods. We have the ability to, through our business assistance funds, through our actual public works investments, do things like get after the faded street markings, the potholes, like all these things that we've been working on the public works front. So I think it has to be on every front. And you just heard a lot of other solutions that we're working to organize toward the area. We need more like beats, right? People that actually can come and patrol in that community-oriented way, like Commander Murphy was saying. We have Director Blakey here because ONS is looking at expanding outreach on top of what they just recently expanded. These are things that are happening in response to community frustration. So in conclusion, yes, that is my work. That is the work that I'm doing with the county because our neighborhood does need a significant boost in investment beyond what it's had. And I'll end on the note of we're rebuilding the library to have a public space that is beautiful and high functioning that doesn't currently exist in the way that it deserves to be at that site. So all of that is part of what's been worked on. Thank you.
Excellent. And thank you, Miranda, with some good context on that shelter. We appreciate that. I'm looking for number 14. You're the last one for the night. I'm sorry. We said till 8, and I'll be honest here, we're borrowing the community center from other events, so they were very gracious to loan it to us last moment because a lot more people show up than we thought. Well, at least than we could fit.
I live at Thomas and Simpson Street, and I agree with the office building owner that it's been the worst that I've only lived in the neighborhood for 4 years, but the last like 3 or 4 months have been the worst we've ever experienced. There's people breaking into our backyard, stealing petty things, stealing stuff off our porch, and it's very frustrating. So I guess one question I have for like the county and the city is like, what do you? It's a little unrelated, but like, what are you doing to help like bring life back to like the University and Snelling with like all the closed businesses? There's, you can walk along University and it's like a wasteland, like buildings that were burned down 4 years ago. You can still see the floor, and it's just like, I want to spend my money in Midway, and I want the neighborhood to improve. So what are you doing to help make a good business environment?
So all the following are businesses my office has invested in: Checkerboard, Turbo Tim's, Midway Club, Roots Wellness Center, Getting Branded Bike Racks, Heritage, Urban Lights, Twan's, which famously suffered a devastating break-in recently, Ray's Arn Cuts, Udo's African Food, Keystone Community Services. All of these are things that we have been a part of getting resources into. That list keeps going. I don't want to use all my time on it. But when I'm talking to you about, here's the ways that we're working to get every dollar we can back into the Midway, that's the efforts of our office every single day. Then there's the actual policy side. Upzoning Snelling, upzoning University, taking any pooled funds from these development projects that can go back into the neighborhood for affordable housing. Looking at the vacant building fee that I mentioned earlier, looking at the disincentivizing speculative real estate through that type of policy change. At the state legislature, we talked at the town hall just the other week about land value tax and how that could be something that would change the economics and disincentivize. I got American Rescue Plan funds into co-ops so that the Hamline-Midway Investment Fund co-op can actually take ownership of local buildings rather than an out-of-state investor. So all of these are part of the economic vision for the neighborhood. That's years and years of work underway. Of course, it's not enough yet. We know that we can do more. All of these things, though, are tangible. They're all things that have been dollars back into the community. We're working to help places stay open, to revitalize their spaces for us to use. Everything from the Blackheart patio to the Little Africa Plaza, which is going to be a home for these ethnic businesses in the neighborhood that have been there since I was coming as a kid. I'm not sure if I should share time with the county, but I'm happy to talk more about that at length as much as
I was going to say this time. So thank you very much. I just want to say thank you all. And we have a round of applause for folks who came here tonight and asked really good questions. This stuff is not easy to put together. Excuse me, I'm sorry, we collectively gave everybody a chance to ask a question. If they came in and got a number, I'm very sorry. Do you have it? We're out of time. I just wanted to say. I appreciate that we had a formal way of asking questions, and we only have this space for a little while. On behalf of the city, we were planning on having this at Hammond University and reserve the space.
Why is it that we've been hearing the same thing for over 30 years? We created these programs.
If I could ask everyone who has a follow-up question, we know you got the energy here. Please visit. We are collecting all these questions, all these opinions. We're doing all we can to collect this information. I understand, I appreciate, and I'm glad you have a question. I'm sorry we cannot answer it. We do not have time. We have to release the space to the community center. Thank you all on behalf of the Hamline-Midway Coalition, all of our panelists, and everyone who came. Thank you very much. Have a safe walk home, safe drive home, and have a wonderful